or is it?
I always say that high-value men are more likely to be cheated on back. They just don't realize it.
Really?
Absolutely. I always say rich men are the most likely to be cheated on, especially in Dubai.
Why?
Because the women they choose.
What?
The women, when you're a broke man, you're limited in terms of the women you can access.
Yeah.
You can only access the limited range of women. So you're only going to access a simple kind of woman because you're a simple man. That simple woman doesn't have many options. So you're both optionless and you're both good to go. You've got a connection, you're good to go. Now, if you are a high-value man, let's say, for example, you're a George Clooney, you can access whoever you want in the world. No, whoever you want. So you could choose a Kim. If you're Kanye, you can choose a Kim. Do you think Kanye is the only rich man she knows?
No.
Do you think Kanye is the best she can get? She can get many of you. So what happens is, as a man becomes more successful, his criteria and selection of women becomes more provocative, promiscuous. It's usually the dream girl. That dream girl knows 10 of you. But if you choose that, simple girl that works in Starbucks, of course she's going to be loyal to you. But what high-value man chooses that? He chooses the sexiest girl on screen as well. When the relationship loses its excitement, we assume it's lost its love.
Yeah.
But really it's lost its novelty. And novelty is only available in new relationships. So what happens is people are craving the feeling in new relationships rather than enjoying the stability of existing relationships.
We've spoken about women being hard to date in Dubai. Why are the men hard to date here in Dubai?
Because they enjoy toxicity. They enjoy toxicity. They enjoy pleasure.
What do you mean by that?
Because Dubai is a pleasure seeker's island. Yeah, and by the way, I still want my visa, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but it is a pleasure seeker's island. What I mean by this is there's constant dopamine all day, every day. Look, praise be to God. Look at your view. Like, look at the dopamine when you look at your view and stuff. This is what Dubai is like. Every day is pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. So what happens is the brain starts to seek pleasure rather than peace. And when men or women, when they meet someone peaceful, they label it as boring. And they're always seeking somebody who gives them some form of pleasure or dopamine. And the best person that gives you dopamine is a toxic attachment. What happens with a toxic attachment is you get preoccupied with that person. You're thinking about them. Where are they? Why haven't they called? Blah, blah, blah. And that toxic attachment, they mislabel that as love. And it's just preoccupation. So they forget to look for peace. They consider somebody where it's boring, simple, monotonous, they consider that boring.
But the thing is, I get what you're saying, but don't you think, when you are in a monotonous, boring relationship, it can get boring? So how can you...
But here's the thing, life gets boring.
Yeah.
It's supposed to.
Yeah.
That's what it is. People are constantly thinking, but my marriage has gotten boring, how do I change it? Well, how do you change it? Maybe you need to change your mindset and accept that life gets boring.
But surely you can just change your mindset about trying to make things more exciting, and you can try and work on stuff and just become different. Because over time, when you meet someone from the start to, 10 years down the line, you change.
Yeah.
You have different interests, you have different things that you like, and things like that. Mm-hmm. But surely, how do you maintain that? How do you maintain that? How do you...
You know what, my honest advice, I always say this to people, is of course it gets monotonous and difficult, but when you meet somebody, girl or guy, who kind of accepts that life gets a bit boring and understands that not every day is pleasure, but more so wants intimacy, connection, and stability rather than excitement, you're onto a marriage. Mm-hmm. Because that's what marriage is. It's not, you habituate to your partner, you get used to them. And people that seek stability and monotony, if you look at your parents' lifestyle and the ones that have lasted so many years, there's very little excitement. It's duty. It's duty, stability, predictability that they look for in a relationship, and that's what they strive for. They don't actually look for pleasure seeking and excitement. And I think, unfortunately, and I'm guilty of this as well, when the relationship loses its excitement, we assume it's lost its love.
Yeah.
But really it's lost its novelty. And novelty is only available in new relationships. So what happens is people are craving the feeling in new relationships rather than enjoying the stability of existing relationships.
Wow, that's so true.
That was a good line.
That was a good...
I made that up on the spot, but it sounds good.
No, literally, it sounded... I think sometimes, even I've seen a lot of marriages fail because, they're like, oh, it's
craving
monotonous,
novelty.
It's boring, or she's boring, or he's boring.
And it's how society's conditioned us. We like I remember when I was a kid watching TV, I'd have to sit through adverts and be bored through the adverts, or even in the cinema, I'd be bored in the adverts. But now there's no time for boredom. It's like quick, watch the next thing, 3-minute video. We don't create a culture of boredom or monotony or patience. We create pleasure. And as a result, that translates into real life. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and she's really, really bright. And we were talking about how they're going to invent flying cars. And she's like, we can save so much time, like no traffic. And I said, I know, but traffic is the only time where I'm forced to be patient. And I think I need it because I've got ADHD. I'm so impatient. Traffic is the only time I've got no control. I have to be patient. If we remove the parameters that create patience in society, in relationships, we become zero tolerance. That's why I think it is.
Yeah, because I feel like we've become like zero tolerance now.
Zero tolerance. It has to be novelty. It has to be exciting.
Even when you hear some people go, I want a man that has this. I want a man that has this. Or even people in relationships now where they might do one thing and they're like, right, that's it, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, do you feel like society's...
We've gotten disposable. Everything is disposable. If you like, we've gotten, and that's why I say society trickles down into relationships. It's not, you can't divorce the two. So what goes on society will be manifested in your relationship. So if we have a relationship with society where Amazon Prime, you get something straight away, or something like cheap clothes, so you throw them out, or whatever it is, you replace. That becomes a culture in your relationships as well. So one small thing, quick. Let's get rid of it and start again. And that's the culture we have now.
What do you think, like, women are going to struggle with in the next few years with relationships?
I think what they'll struggle with is they're going to lose touch with their authenticity. And what I mean by that is because we're so driven to become something else now, either look a certain way, dress a certain way, act a certain way, act like a bad bitch or whatever it is, what women and most people crave is an authentic, solid connection. And what we're going to struggle with and we're going to see a rise in is people becoming inauthentic to get acceptance and to get notoriety. And so what that's going to look like is a bunch of fake connections and then a very hollow sense of self in the future.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. That's
another good line. Sadia, well done.
Well done, Sadia.
Oh my God, thanks.
We have to put the applause on.
Do you know what? Why I'm happy I said that is because I've got a female this time. And a female asking me questions. I haven't thought about these questions before, so it's kind of a bit more spontaneous. Yeah. So I'm coming up with things that I didn't even know.
I've seen a lot of your stuff where it's been like a lot of like red pill, like and people that like, you know, I've got nothing against him. I think he's great and what he's done, like Andrew Tate, free Andrew Tate.
Oh, I miss him. Don't you miss him coming up on your feed, just talking nonsense? I love it.
With the shades.
I miss him.
Where are you at, Tate?
Oh, hopefully inshallah soon. We're waiting for him, inshallah.
Yeah, hopefully. Andrew Tate.
Yes.
I feel like he's been quite helpful for women as well. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I'm a fan of Andrew. I've got no qualms with Andrew. But here's the thing. It's you're taking a very hyper-successful man with a hyper pleasure-seeking environment and him giving his perspective to the average Jimmy in his basement. It just doesn't work. And as much as I love him and I understand his message and it really appeals to the people I know, I'm talking from a perspective of a girl that could be, you know, what they talk about, like, oh, you can, you know, get a dinner for free or you could go on a yacht and blah, blah. So I get what he's saying, but the majority of the world doesn't get that. And so that's why I feel like sometimes it's falling onto the hands of the wrong audience.
But like, I feel like because I think growing up in the culture and the background that I have, you kind of know like what you have to do as a woman, like I'm sure.
Yeah, but a lot of people, that's true. I think I know what you're going to say.
Like,
sorry, yeah.
Yeah, when guests come, make coffee, tea, when there's people here, you know, we're
hospitality, yeah.
We know how to do it. But I feel like he's helped a lot of women understand their place in some sense.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if
and he really does. And the thing is, this is a problem that happens with the men that follow him, is that they take on board what he says about masculinity and forget what he tells men about how to be chivalrous and how to treat women. They just ignore that part and they focus on the fact that I can sleep with lots of women and I don't need to do this and men are this, blah, blah. So they take it wrong. But his actual message is actually a healthy one. On the whole, there are things that I disagree with, but on the whole, it's a healthy message. And but it just it's men are being very selective with what they're taking on board, and women are being very selective by what they're offended by. And then both of them are being very polarized. But if you take his overall message, there's a lot of good in there.
Yeah, I think so too. It's such a shame that the media took it out of context.
Yeah.
And I actually feel like because I've met a lot of young guys, actually my team, they absolutely love Andrew Tate.
Oh, everybody loves Andrew Tate.
The younger
does. I did an interview with him, and I remember having like cousins in Pakistan who are so young and were so excited about it. And I'm like, how did Andrew Tate be? You're like all excited. And I'm like, how do you know him? And everybody knows him. I think even my dad might even know who he is. And for my dad to know someone, then you must be super famous because he doesn't know anyone. So it's incredible how one person can have such an influence though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Incredible.
Even like my nephews and stuff, like that they'll say something which is like quite soft.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you just need to listen to Andrew Tate.
And was there anything that you disagree with?
Like,
From a female's perspective.
I just think he was like, when you're in the social media space, a lot of the stuff is for clout. Like he was doing it was all an act, and you can kind of tell like a lot of it was an act. The only thing that I think was bad about him is his tonality and how he said stuff. Because if you've not watched his long form stuff, you actually think the guy's being deadly serious. And that's the only thing I'd say. And if a girl's doing OnlyFans, you know, and it's his girlfriend, she has to give the money to him. I think that was just for like, I don't get it. What about you?
Well, having met Andrew, I don't think it's complete lie. It's something that he probably would do as a joke. I think he would definitely do that as a joke. But a lot of what he says, he is that person. He is that, alpha, charismatic. He is that guy. He is very opinionated. He is very strong. But I would love to, if inshallah he ever comes out, I would love to sit down and just dissect some of the things that I think are leading to relationships falling apart, because some of them do fall apart when they take on board what he says and they go down the...
Oh, as in being a high value guy and dating multiple women.
Yeah, and that sort of stuff. The dating multiple women and this, that and the other, that sort of stuff. It doesn't lead to a conducive, happy home environment.
Because you know what? Now that we're on that topic, I've actually met a lot of women that are dating guys that are quite high value, and they give them the option to be able to.
But the thing is, I always say that women actually just want an investment. Now, if you give her a financial investment, she's okay about the emotional monogamy, because that's a form of investment. But if there's no financial investment, she expects more emotional investment. So you just got to balance it out. We want investment, whether that's financial, emotional, whatever it is. Now, if you're not covering us financially, you better give us all of you emotionally. But if you're covering us financially, for a lot of women, they're like, okay, maybe you might step out, but I get to live this life, live this house, have this car. I know you care about me.
Is there anything wrong with that?
No, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's because it's a form of care. It is a form of care.
It's a form of love,
it's a form
right?
of care.
Like of saying,
and it's a form of investment. We've got to accept the way men and women are designed rather than reject it and judge it. Women want investment. Men want loyalty or whatever it is. Yeah. So if women want investment, and if you want to step out and do all of those things, pick a woman who accepts financial investment as a form of investment. Don't pick a woman who wants emotional investment. She's going to not find that enough. She's going to want loyalty. So you just got to pick your woman. But every woman's tips on the scale, whether she wants more financial or whether she wants more emotional. If you want to step out and you've got the resources for it, find that woman that wants the more, as long as she's got her financial investment, she's good. Don't choose the one that needs emotional investment. Usually it's the ones that have been hurt or traumatized. They need more emotional. They don't care about the finances.
Because, other women would judge other women for having that.
No,
like having a high value man, and essentially
he steps out.
Yeah, essentially he steps out, and they're like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah,
why are women judging that other woman?
Because it's easy to judge a situation you can't access. When you can access a man that's taking you left, right, and center, and paying for everything, and taking you first class, then tell me what you would do in that situation. It's very easy to judge circumstances that you can't access, but when you can access it, then you can form a more informed judgment. So I think the people that judge it can't access it, so they don't even know what that life looks like. Yeah. So that's why I think they judge.
Yeah, because I've seen many cases, or I've heard, so and so's partner cheats and stuff like that. But it's like for me, in some cases, it's kind of like an open marriage, no? Or is it?
I always say that high value men are more likely to be cheated on back. They just don't realize it.
Really?
Absolutely. I always say rich men are the most likely to be cheated on, especially in Dubai,
Why?
because the women they choose.
What?
The women, when you're a broke man, you're limited in terms of the women you can access. You can
Yeah.
only access the limited range of women. So you're only going to access a simple kind of woman because you're a simple man. That simple woman doesn't have many options. So you're both optionless and you're both good to go. You've got a connection, you're good to go. Now, if you are a high value man, let's say, for example, you're a George Clooney, you can access whoever you want in the world. Right? Whoever you want. So you could choose a Kim. If you're Kanye, you can choose a Kim. Do you think Kanye is the only rich man she knows?
No.
Do you think Kanye is the best she can get? She can get many of you. So what happens is, as a man becomes more successful, his criteria and selection of women becomes more provocative, promiscuous. It's usually the dream girl. That dream girl knows 10 of you. But if you choose that, simple girl that works in Starbucks, of course she's going to be loyal to you. But what high value man chooses that? He chooses the sexiest girl on screen. So I always say to men who are high value rich, especially in Dubai, before I've even met that girl, I'm like, she's cheating on you. Why? Because she likes you for your lifestyle, and she knows plenty of men with your lifestyle. You're just covering her current bills.
I feel bad for men now. Like, I feel like...
Don't feel bad for them because they choose this life. They could easily choose a simple, nice woman, but they choose this life.
Yeah, but still, it's like, they work...
They work hard.
They work hard. They, go to the gym. They try and be like, they've become masculine. They cover the bills. They're just trying to find...
It's a really poor deal for them. It's a really poor deal because what happens is they're the ones doing everything.
Yeah.
Both are cheating, but she's doing it on your watch and she's doing it with your credit card. So he's getting a way worse deal. But I always say it's your selection process. Who tells you to date these kind of women that had a billionaire in the past and has had all this work done? You think she got that for free? It's you have to look at your selection process. As you get more successful, you choose more promiscuous. What do you expect? Yeah, they always do. You don't see footballers flying out a librarian. They're not going to go fly out a teacher on a lad's app. They're flying out the OnlyFans girl. And it's only a matter of time before you get lost in the sauce and you make that OnlyFans girl your girlfriend.
Interesting. So what's the selection for girls then?
Welcome to my course on masculinity, and in this course not only will I be able to completely transform your understanding of women, but on a more personal level you will enhance your self-esteem, self-respect and your boundaries. The goal of this course is to take a man that has absolutely fantastic intentions, wants to find love, wants to commit, wants to have a good healthy relationship, but is finding that he's constantly running into women who are narcissistic, who are disrespectful, who are disloyal. Now, if you are finding that continuously, then there must be something in your engagement with women that is causing this. What my course will do is look at where this problem comes from, how to resolve it, how to communicate effectively with men and women, and how to command respect. Most importantly, how to improve your self-respect. And throughout the course, you'll be given interactive sessions, but with course materials to help you channel and journal your learning. So if you are interested in becoming the most masculine version of yourself, join today.